everybody. This is Aaron with the IndyAutoBlog here in Indianapolis, Indiana, and I've got two very special guests with us today here. This is Gavin McNicholas from Hubler Ford down in Shelbyville, Indiana. He is pretty much the Ford truck expert here in Indianapolis. And our other special guest here today is Marc Lapine from Ford and the F-150 marketing team. And Marc is going to share some information with us. Gavin's going to ask him a few questions about the Atlas concept and the F-150. So I'm going to switch it over to give you a look at Marc here, and we'll get started. All right, so Gavin, what do we have? Let's fire away.
Well, a lot of what we've been seeing with the publications Ford is kind of put out to us is that the Atlas is basically being viewed as a learning lab for Ford truck development. And the first question I think a lot of truck owners would ask is how Ford's been able to advance its fuel efficiency knowledge with the project.
In terms of how the Atlas helped us?
Yes.
So one of the things that, the Atlas is a concept, so just make sure we're clear on that, but one of the things that the Atlas allowed us to do was highlight some new feature content, as well as we indicated that it would contain the next generation of EcoBoost engine, which has been a very successful powertrain on the F-150 and allows us to achieve both the capability and power requirements the truck customers want while delivering better fuel economy at the same time. So in terms of the Atlas, yes, the next generation EcoBoost for the F-Series will be one of those. Some of the other things had to do with the ways we improved aerodynamics on the truck going forward. So active grille shutters those are already found in vehicles on the road today, so that's definitely a feature that we could bring forward on a next generation F-Series truck, which is featured on the Atlas as well. Improves aerodynamics, especially at highway speeds. Stop-start technology is another technology already out there, but featured on the Atlas as a way to improve fuel economy, especially city fuel economy. And then there were some other features which are a bit more concept-type features. Active wheel shutters, for example, which improves the aerodynamics of the wheels themselves. And then a dam, the air dam below the truck, which actually can lower at highway speeds to improve aerodynamics. So that's kind of a high-level list of some of the fuel efficiency improving features on the Atlas.
I actually made note of two of those when I was kind of reviewing the concept, and the wheel shutter system was something that I found pretty interesting. How does that actually function?
So it's basically set up so that as you, especially at highway speeds, the shutters, similar to active grille shutters, they basically rotate within the wheel to fill in what would be the open areas on the wheel, so in between your spokes. So by filling in the area between the spokes, you actually reduce the drag on those and improve aerodynamics.
Okay. And another thing you had mentioned was the way the lower air dam sculpting has been positioned. And one thing I've noticed over the years with a lot of the off-road package type trucks, the skid plate placement has been kind of open under the actual crankcase. It looks like that lower air dam may actually be a one-piece unit. Is that blended into the skid plate area?
Well, it's actually, yeah, they did a little different thing. If you look at the skid plate on the Atlas concept, it actually is a little bit more similar to the skid plate, the way we use the skid plate on the F-150 SVT Raptor, the way it's kind of integrated into the front bumper and then goes on back for better protection. But the air dam itself on the Atlas concept is actually mechanized so that it can lower at highway speeds and then raise back up at city speeds. So it's not actually fully integrated because it does move independent of the skid plate, but yes, it's all kind of, from a design standpoint, all structured in there.
That's a really good idea, the one-piece unit. It just makes good sense. And that kind of leads me to my next thing. You guys have done a lot of work with aerodynamics, obviously, on the project. So the one thing I'd ask about is the hood sculpting. That's a totally different look than we've seen on anything else that Ford's really worked with. How was that concept, that actual design, arrived upon?
Well, so in terms of design, we do actually, so we've got the designers that bring their own ideas, but what we always do is try to get them back to the customer. So one of the things we did in terms of kind of helping the designers with imagery, and this is just one example, is we actually had customers look at trains, for example. So you're familiar with like our Super Chief concept that we did a number of years back, well, which was inspired by trains. So we use these train images to kind of better understand what truck customers were looking for in the look of their truck. And so when we showed them a freight train, just very, very basic freight train, that appealed to truck customers because it looked strong, indestructible, just very, very bold. When we showed them images of a bullet train, though, they also liked the images of that. It was sleeker, it was more aerodynamic, very functional, purposefully designed. So there wasn't a clear preference between freight train or bullet train. They liked both designs because they were functional. They served the purposes they were being designed for. So what our designers did is they kind of, if you look at the Atlas concept, you can see a bit of that freight train, bold, indestructible look. While they've also incorporated some of those bullet train, sleek, aerodynamic elements into it as well. So I think you've got this great combination of the freight train, bullet train as a metaphor in the Atlas concept.
It's definitely really great looking. The concept's absolutely beautiful, and we get a lot of feedback on it. So the next thing that I would have some interest in would be the functional side of the truck, if you will, or the concept functional elements, like the side mirror spotlights, which is an absolutely great idea to put on a pickup truck, especially for an individual that would work it. The mirror spotlights on that, do those function independently? Is there some sort of a control from the cab, or is that just a switchable on-off type of setup on that?
So based on the concept, yes, they're designed to be switched on and off, and they are basically a high-intensity LED light that's built into those mirrors. So once again, this kind of came out of the how do you make the truck more functional, improve productivity, and lighting, for example, at job sites or camping or whatever you're doing, was a request. So this was an option. It was an opportunity, I guess I should say, to improve that lighting. So yes, you turn them on. Obviously, the mirrors are positionable. So if you needed to angle the light a different direction, you could move your mirror to do that. But right as they appear in the concept, it is an on-off, simple on-off. So hopefully that answers that question.
A little tougher, I know, with the development stages and everything. So the other things that were interesting to me, the tailgate step, obviously some modification to that. Looks like it's been lengthened. Is the idea there just to lower the actual step up from the ground, so you're simply improving bed access, or is there another thought process behind that?
So once again, with the Atlas concept, the designers took the opportunity to both improve on the tailgate step, as well in a couple of ways. So one, the Atlas concept does sit a little higher than for example a current F-150 does. So yes, in terms of making the step functional for getting in and out of the bed, there was a little bit of that. The other feature that they incorporated into it was when the tailgate is in the upright position, you've got it can be extended upwards to act as a cargo cradle, meaning if you had a ladder, kayak, pieces of lumber, you could extend them from the roof of the cab out over this cradle, which is basically the tailgate step in an extended vertical position, and avoid having the stuff sticking out of the bed at an angle. That way, just another way to improve the functionality of a feature and make it dual purpose that way.
That kind of ties into my next question. Noticing the roof design, and it looked like maybe the phrase that was thrown out there was a cargo cradle design. Mm-hmm. How does the roof, does that actually integrate to the extended tailgate step and sort of almost like a conventional ladder rack, but in a stowable design? Is that the idea there?
Yeah, so basically when you look at the roof of the cab, yeah, you've got that center section, which is actually kind of dips in a little bit there in the middle, and we actually put a different material than just the metal there to basically, so you could use it functionally to put stuff on the top of the cab without worrying about scratching up paint, what have you. So yeah, it is actually fully integrated that way, and that's another, I'd call it a concept feature that we wanted to see how that played out with the truck customer as we showed it to the public.
Okay, and staying with functionality, the cargo ramp, the stowable cargo ramp. This is one of those things that to me was kind of like the tailgate step, and I really wish I'd thought of the idea. That seems awfully useful, especially given the larger size. Can you tell us a little bit about how that integrates into the truck body on the concept?
Yeah, so the way it currently, in the concept, those ramps stow beneath the bed. So with the tailgate in the upright position, they would stow right underneath the bed on either side there. So you just pull them out, and then with the tailgate down, then attach them on to so you can drive motorcycles, ATVs, other types of item. Walk the dog up into the bed, whatever you're. Everyone, I mean, it was a feature that a lot of people said, hey, they come up with their own way of doing it. This was a way of doing it from the factory, and the ramps just stow right back in under the bed when not in use, so you don't have to worry about them taking up space in the bed either.
Yeah, a brilliant idea, especially given that the truck is, you mentioned it's dimensionally closer to the Raptor in terms of size, is that right?
Yeah, it's actually, the concept itself is actually wider than a Raptor. It's 88 inches wide. So current Raptor is about 86, so 80, 83, 86. So yeah, so it's actually wider than a Raptor.
It's a pretty large truck.
It's a large truck.
And the two other things that I think interested me the most, the trailer backup assist system.
Yes.
Beautiful idea, especially if you're going to a dimensionally larger automobile. How does the backup assist system work? Is it incorporated through the rear view camera system that we already have in place? Does it operate with trailer sway control?
Well, so the trailer backup assist is one of those features that without getting into the engineering elements of it, it was designed to, rather than steering the truck, to direct the trailer. So you basically, right now, the way it works, you're directing the rear of the truck so that it's pushing the trailer in the direction you want it to go. And depending on how experienced you are and where you are, you can have differing degrees of success doing that. So the idea of the trailer backup assist is, instead of steering the truck, steer the trailer. So you'll have in the Atlas concept, there's basically what I call it a type of spring-loaded rocker switch that's there in the IP, and you basically use that to direct the trailer. So if I'm trying to back it up into a space, I'm still going to be looking behind me, using mirrors and what have you, but I direct the trailer, and then the steering wheel will actually turn, and the truck will steer itself to make the trailer go where you want it to go. So it takes a lot of the stress out of backing up a trailer, especially if you're in a tight space on a ramp, worried about taking too much time as people are queuing up to get on the ramp as well. But it really just simplifies it. First, even if you have no backup experience backing up a trailer, it makes it easy for the first time as well.
So essentially, what we're talking about then is we've taken the traditional school of thought. You're turning the truck the opposite direction as the trailer with the wheel, and we've reduced it to a manual control. The truck's going to be essentially programmed to respond to those controls, and you can operate it just as the trailer. Correct.
It's a bit like it's basically you're steering the trailer instead of steering the truck, and it's a hands off the steering wheel. It's similar technology to what we use for active park assist, where the truck will steer itself, but in this case you're steering the trailer, and the truck is doing what it needs to do to make the trailer go that way. Even backing up in a straight line, which you would think would be easy enough, but if that's what you want, as I said, it's spring loaded. If you release it to that center position, it'll back that trailer up in a straight line and make any corrections it needs to make sure the trailer's going straight back.
So, great idea, terrific idea on it. And the last thing that I found pretty interesting with the current Raptor, we of course have front cameras, where you can view in a rock crawling type situation, and of course the backup cameras. The 360 camera concept, could you tell us a little bit about how that works within the truck?
Correct. So basically it's a 4-camera system. So in addition to a camera in the front, a camera in the rear, you now also have cameras mounted on your exterior mirrors, and each of those are wide-angle cameras. And so what it does is it takes those 4 images, and it gives you 2 options of the way you wanted to display it within your screen there within the concept. So you can either choose what we call a 360-degree view, which basically gives you almost like an aerial view of your truck. So you'd have a truck icon sitting in the middle, and then the images would be stitched together, forming this basically 360-degree aerial view of what's around the truck. And this can be really handy parking situations or any setting where you may be in tight quarters and need additional visibility on what's around you. The other view that you can choose is just what I call an extra wide angle front view, which is even more enhanced over what we currently offer in the Raptor with the front view camera there. So once again, almost gives you, especially if you were, for example, backing out of a parking space, going for, or not backing out, but easing forward out of a parking space in a parking lot, gives you kind of that front visibility looking around the edges of the cars next to you. So really handy.
Well, I think after the conversation that we've had, it's pretty obvious to me that it's not only beautiful, but the ideas and technology that you guys have put into this, it's certainly at the forefront. And I really do appreciate getting to sit down and talk to you a little bit about it. We have a lot of conversation with customers, and it's pretty exciting stuff to talk to them about. So my compliments to the design team.
Yeah, no, we've been we think they hit a home run with it, and obviously it's a concept, but I think we've indicated enough that this certainly signals future design direction for the F-Series trucks. So we think it'd be great to incorporate a lot of these design elements, some of these features, into the next generation F-Series.
We look forward to having them in the retail segment. I know your customers do too.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you so much, gentlemen, for sharing your time with us today. Again, we've got Gavin McNicholas from Hubler Ford in Shelbyville, Indiana, and Marc Lapine from Ford Marketing up there in Michigan, right?
That's correct. We're here in Dearborn today.
All right. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming together, for sharing this great conversation with the IndyAutoBlog, and look forward to hopefully having an opportunity to talk to you again.
Hey, thank you.
Join us back at IndyAutoBlog.com for more information and conversation about the Ford Atlas concept.